Happy Sunday, y'all. Hey, 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 how are you doing? It's Sunday, and I am here with y'all on a Sunday. And I see we have a new channel member. Welcome, Courtney Waters. You are now a residency visa member. So, for those of you who do not know, Blaxit Global's YouTube channel has a membership. So, you get like behind the scenes things. I share different resources and things like that. It's a growing community. So if you want to be in the know, be like Courtney. Come on in and say hi, right? So I'm so glad that y'all are here. I see you filing in. Alexandria is here. Hello, hello. Renee is in the house. Hi, good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, so whew, it has been a whirlwind this week. My daughter graduated high school on Thursday. It was a huge thing. She was National Honor Society, just like her mama was. So when she graduated high school, very proud mama. And that was really great. My brother was able to attend. So she's been showered with love. Some of you all have been so kind as to get gifts for her and send them. And so I'm very appreciative because, college be expensive and all the dorm shopping. Literally, since she's graduated, pretty much every day we've been dorm shopping. So we were talking this morning, and I know some of you have tuned into the video when Maya, my daughter, joined us live and was talking about how she feels about the transition. And so she's decided, because look, she's going to be 18 in a few months. So that she wants to do a dorm video, like a haul video to show what she's gotten. I can't even show you, like, there's a pile off screen, a growing pile. So we have a lot of things moving at one point. We have items that need to go to Florida, items that need to go to her father's house, items that need to go to her dorm, items that need to go to Portugal, and literally trying to keep it all straight and my sanity. So I am so glad that I am going live this month and been like live every weekend. I don't know how much that's going to hold up. Definitely not in July. I'll share different videos that will be there, but I will probably not be live too much in July just because we'll be flying at different places and things like that. August is looking reasonable. And then I'll be back in Portugal. So then you'll be stuck with me. And as you're watching live, and I will get to acknowledging all y'all that are in the comments, help me out, because I do have, I know you have been asking, and I shared a little bit last time when I was live. So I'm consistent with the podcast. I am consistent with the YouTube channel, always sharing, but I don't have a consistent day. Unlike our friends out there, like Adelia, Rashida, and Stephanie. And so let me know, like, if there's a day that y'all think that, hey, if you're live, I'll tune in, because I want to have a regular schedule in my new life, in my new phase, in this new chapter. But would love your feedback. I'll do like a real poll at some point, but you know, right now I got to get this move. The other thing I want to make mention is our Move to Portugal Summit. So I am doing that with our friends, our Black Utopia. We are doing a Move to Portugal Summit. It is taking place November 4th and 5th. And so I think Smee got the link to that one. Let's see. If not, I will find it during the, oh no, I do have it here. Look at me trying to be organized. I'm gonna drop that right here. And then I'm gonna get back in these comments. All right. Let's see. Hey, Tanisia's in the house. Hey, Tanesia. Chef B in the place to be. Thank you for the congrats. Thank you. Yes, Miss Maya is doing the thing, y'all. And we have a new channel member, Nicole. This a dad life. Woohoo. See, you should be like Nicole. You should be in the group. You should be a channel member like Courtney. Yes, yes, yes. Come in, say hi. Hey, hey, hey. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, Cozy's in the house. Hey, Cozy. Hey, hey, hey. Got to spend some time with Locating Cozy in person in Portugal. Yes, I did. We spent some quality time. Yes, yes, yes. Yoga Bliss Dance. I was on Yoga Bliss Dance's channel a few months ago. Hope y'all was able to catch that. Yes, and I thought of you actually. I see your comment. I thought of you as we were talking, Juli-Anne and I were talking a few minutes before we went live. And so, yes. And so I'm going to, thank you. Thank you, Tanisha. She gave a reminder. Hit the like button, please. Let's grow my channel. I do have a personal goal of trying to get this channel to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I feel like that's reasonable. Kay Renee says, congratulations to your daughter. Thank you so much. Thank you. So I have not even introduced myself. For those of you who do not know me, I am Krishan Wright. I'm the founder of Blaxit Global and the host of the Blaxit Global podcast. Blaxit Global exists to empower and inspire members of the African diaspora to pursue a life abroad. So if you're looking to move abroad, like I am, I can actually say it now, yay. This is the place, right, for aspiring expats, repats, people who have moved abroad and come back. They do that too. So come on in. There's a wealth of information on our website, blaxitglobal.com, where you'll find articles and different resources, as well as the podcast and our community, Blaxit Global Passport. And so in Passport, we have accountability groups, we have a men's group, we have different workshops, and it's a love fest because unlike Facebook groups, we have where we all get on a Zoom and we can see each other. And so people see each other, they realize they have so many things in common. Maybe they live in the same town or from the same area or going in the same country. And, then it's off to the races, right? And you can have a softer landing when you, one, have people that are like-minded cheering you on in the process. And two, when you have someone who can be like your right hand. And so you're giving those atta-girls and atta-boys, right? Yes, yes, yes. Oh, see, Yoga Bliss Dance said, I got to think bigger. I am. I'm thinking big, but I'm going to say yes, 500,000. Yes. All right. We're going to do that. See, put it out in the universe. See, you always need somebody to, egg you on and give you that stretch goal. So I'm receiving that. Thank you. I do receive it. Nicole said Blaxit Global Passport group calls are her favorite. Thank you. Passport members. Y'all are great. I've had people, actually one this morning, signed up for a coaching call. So if you also need one-on-one support and you want to set up time with me, you can do so. And we will work on your goals to get you to your dream life. So with that, it is a great thing to talk about the dream life. So give you a little context. So had this idea, crazy as it was, during the pandemic to start a podcast about Black expats living their best lives abroad. And at the time, I did not know a Black expat. And this was June of 2020. And so since we are in June of 2023, Blaxit Global is officially 3 years old. Yay! Yes, yes, yes. And I did that intentionally because June is also my birthday month, which is in 2 more days, June 27th. Woo-hoo-hoo! Fine 49, y'all. That's what I'm embracing. Fine 49. So you already know next year is my 50th. Woo, honey. I'm already planning. But let me not get off track. So starting a podcast, creating a platform for a group that you have no ties to, right? Which was a big audacious goal, right? So as it was, the universe responded, and I was able to create this podcast in 3 weeks. I was able, with the help of the with the help of some wonderful, wonderful people. Shout out to Kim from the Sisters Connect podcast, who I got to spend time with yesterday, because there was a wonderful event that they put on yesterday in Kearney, New Jersey. It was called At Ease. I'm part of a group of entrepreneurs, Rising Tide Capital, and got to meet Kim Sumter 10 years ago now, and LaShonda Tyree, who is the owner of Naya Beauty, and Dawn Fitch, who's the owner of Puka. And so coincidentally, my next guest was also a member of Rising Tide Capital. And come to find out that she was weeks away from moving from New Jersey to Italy. And I was recording a podcast, and I was like, oh my gosh, like she was where I am now, right? You're getting rid of stuff, but I mean, my stress level is kind of high right now, but hers had to be like up in the stratosphere because this was during lockdown. And I want to tell you before I bring her on, she was so awesome that in the midst of packing and doing all the things, that she agreed to be a guest once they got settled in Italy. And so I'm excited to have her on. And so without further ado, I'm going to bring up, because this is who y'all really came to see, Juli-Anne Russo. Hey, Juli-Anne.
Hi, Christian. I can't believe you remembered all that stuff. It seems like ancient years ago now.
Oh my gosh, it's so crazy. It does seem that way, but like yesterday, I was at Kim and Dawn and LaShonda's awesome event, and we made soaps. I'm going to share it on in the group for the channel members. So become a channel member. I'm going to share that later. So I took some footage. We made candles, body scrubs, soap. We did belly dancing, massages. It was awesome. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm talking to Julie tomorrow.
Coincidental again? That's kind of, I didn't even realize it was June.
Yes, it was June. It was
so
June. I know, it's so crazy. So they were excited. One, they were excited to see me yesterday because a few of them thought I had already left. Well, I mean, I do have my apartment in Portugal, but I am here for the summer as my daughter is doing all the things. But yeah, so they were so excited that I was going to be talking to you today. And then also I met, all these other new women that I hadn't interacted with. And I told them about your story. And so some of them might be in the comments today because they were like, I want to go to Italy, or, oh my gosh, she sounds so fascinating. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to be talking to her tomorrow at 1:00. So, hey.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
Oh my gosh. And we have some amazing people that are in the comments. In my travels said, hello. Yes, Alexandra, I am going to add those links. Thank you for the reminder. Tanisha, congratulations. Oh, I got my happy birthdays. My stethoscope travels. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, 549. I am embracing it. Thank you, Renee. Thank you, Tanisha. Hey, Profess LCH is in the house. Okay, that girl, that's me. That's me. Y'all know, if you're not following me already on Instagram and the socials, I'm going to just be sharing. It's my birthday. It's my birthday. It's my birthday. But enough about me. This is all about you. So where we were, and for those of you who do not know, so Juli-Anne was a guest in season 1, very first season. So I am going to share the link to that episode. Actually, I'll drop it now in the comments. So in case you did not hear her amazing story, but for those who have not, Julie, if you could give the people a little background about who you are.
Sure. So I grew up in Jamaica. I left Jamaica permanently. Like I got my green card when I was 30 and went to school at University of Florida. So I actually came for graduate school. And then I met my husband, I think it's the second or the third year of graduate school. He is born in Rome, and somehow we ended up at this place in Florida, University of Florida in Gainesville, in the middle of nowhere. But we were very drawn to, all the international students. We really hung out together. We had a lot more in common, actually. So once I graduated, I moved to New Jersey and then lived in New Jersey for about maybe 2 or 3 years. And then he came, went to San Diego for 2 years. Then after that, he got a job in Alabama. So we went to Alabama. And then that's when my son was born. But when my son was born, I decided Alabama was not the place for a mixed child because he is quite light. And just understanding the history, even, the attitudes, I just knew that the South was not the place to be for him and me. So I decided to try to move back to New Jersey and got my old job back. And then my husband followed after. So I just said, after about 3 or 4 months, I was like, no, it's not happening. So we stayed in New Jersey for the next 11 years. So my son grew up in New Jersey. And so at this point, by 2018, we had already been in the States for about 18 years. So I know when I met Ricardo, my husband, I had thought that we were going to leave. So about, after grad school, I was like, I've kind of had enough. Let's go to Europe. But then he said, no, there are no jobs in Italy. So we ended up staying. But I think for me, after 10 years of being in the US, I realized that I wasn't really adapting. Like it wasn't, there are some places you can adapt to. And I think I arrived when I was too old. And, the racism was very prominent. After a while, it became very noticeable to me. And I just knew that I wasn't going to rise any much further, even with a PhD. There was a limitation. And then once I had my son, that's when you really understand for women how difficult it is and how difficult it is for families. So we had started toying with the idea of leaving. And then we made this plan that we were going to go when my son was going to go to high school. And thank God we didn't do that in hindsight. So to make a long story short, when the pandemic came around, with all that was happening, and then with George Floyd and, just the negativity, it was just so much negativity. By that time, I was like, I just got to go. I have to leave. So that's when we made a decision to move to Italy because all his family is still here. And so we decided that my son and I were going to go ahead first because he still had a really good job, good career. But I said, you know what, again, for my son's sake and for my sake, I think we need to go to a space that is not so toxic and so negative. And so we ended up in the woods in a hilltop town. In 2020, we arrived even though, it was kind of weird, even though Italy was experiencing it first, with all the pandemic, by the time we arrived, there were so many laws in place that were not in the US. We felt actually more safe. And where we were here in the woods, we had that open space and felt really, really safe when we arrived. So that is the long story made short, and that's how we ended up in Italy.
It's so remarkable to hear you talk about it now, right? 3 years later, all the things that were going on. And, what I hear is like the common thread is, your love for your son and also the relationship that you and your husband have developed to, make these decisions. You know, you're from two different countries, right? And two different cultures and upbringings, and then you meet in another country and build this life together. And so, you know, I know looking from the outside, it's a simplified version. I'm sure there were a
Right.
lot of, you know, conversations, and I don't mean to gloss over that. But what I'm hearing in the story is, one, a lot of respect, and two, I'm probably sure a lot of challenging realizations that had to, you know, come, because as you move through the world, you move in a different way than your husband's
Mhm.
perception, and then also different from your son, right?
Right. Right.
And as a parent of two multi-ethnic children, I think that I have had what I thought was my understanding of what their lived experience is. And I've now come to realize that it is very different, you know,
Mhm.
than what I can identify with, what their dad can identify with. But they have this common thread that they, I mean, even with that, right? My son experiences the world different than my daughter, right?
Right.
Even though we have the same parents.
Right.
So, but like I said, what I hear is making these, you know, challenging decisions, but the necessity there is looking out for Alex, who we've had on the channel when we did like a follow up.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited because, like, he's growing up so well. He's gotten like
No.
12 feet tall. So, you know, like, let's talk about some of that, and really how it gets to where you are today. Because you talked about having a PhD, coming here for the American dream, right? You have this wonderful education, and you're in the scientific field, right?
Mhm.
So where, and I'll take a leap here, but I think it's okay, you know, being underrepresented in that field, and you know, I'm sure encountered, you know, microaggressions, racism, and the toll that it takes.
Yes. It's
The toll,
stressful. Yes, for
yeah.
sure.
So how have you been now 3 years out? Let's start there, right? So you made the decision to leave during the pandemic
Mhm.
and move to Italy. Just from that decision and perspective from a professional level, let's start there.
Mhm. Mhm.
How do you feel mentally, physically than where you were?
I decided the first year that I needed to detox. I
Mm,
was so exhausted, not only from, yes, the move, the stress of moving, but just leading up to that moment, 2016. I don't know. I mean, like, you have to discuss exactly how is it that, just seeing, you wake up every morning seeing a black person or a black man being, caked, shot. Every single morning you wake up to see something negative about your skin color or hear something negative about your skin color. That's not how I grew up,
mm,
and so for the first, I would have to say that for the first 10 years, I felt like I did get the American dream, because if I hadn't left Jamaica, I wouldn't have had the opportunities that I did get in America. But I came to America with, I feel like, a super shield. I call it my super shield,
mm,
my Jamaican super shield, because I didn't grow up with racism per se, and I didn't grow up with my skin color being a hindrance to, getting to the next level. Really, it was about education. As long as you were educated, you could get to the next level. But, after 10 years, it chips away because, like you said, microaggressions, these are things only you know. It's not something I can explain to anybody else. It's a moment in which you're like, did they really say that? And you question it in your head, and over time you begin to really understand, because I didn't have a handbook. No one really explained these. And in the scientific world, I was always the only black person, black woman, black immigrant. So I would have to say throughout my entire academic and my entire career, it was always that way. And then it just becomes a fight. So
mm,
you always fight, this constant fighting to make sure that your rights are attended to, or your expressions are attended to. And it just gets really exhausting. Then when 2016 comes around and you're always seeing this negativity, this toxicity, it takes a toll. It takes a toll mentally. So when I came to Italy, I needed to breathe. I needed to just a moment just to be enclosed in the woods. I spent many, many days walking in the woods, or we live also near the sea. So it's just a moment to like recapture who I thought I was or who I think I should be before, you know, that the time in America. So now I think I feel like I recaptured my nationality. I recaptured my being of who I was, because I think also in America, all black mixed people, brown people are lumped into one box, regardless of where you're from. And our cultures, even within region, within country, we are also very different. But then you're in this box and you lose your identity.
Yep.
That's how I felt like, like somebody said to me when I came here, somebody I worked with, "You're really Jamaican?" And so one of the poems in my book is about that. It's like,
Wow.
really? You want to take away my nationality too?
Yeah. Wow.
Because it's like this
The
concept that you can
audacity.
see beyond the color of your skin, that you have a culture, you have a country, you have a nationality, you have something else going on. Not even your education, forget that. You just lose. I felt like I just lost myself. And so in Italy, it's again, Italy is not perfect, no country is perfect, but for me in Italy, I become Jamaican. I'm not a black person. I'm not Jamaican black or anything like that. Once on my documents when I arrived, I asked, "What is the country of your birth?" Right? I'm Jamaican. Somebody asked me, "Where are you from?" Jamaica. That's the first. You're not, if you're looking at somebody, they're not going to say, "Where's do you know that black person?" No, they're going to say, that's a Jamaican. In my village, they're going to say, "No, that's a Jamaican. She lives down the road." So you regain some sort of your identity, and so I decided I am not probably ever going to go back into an office. I think at my age, I'm definitely trying to develop something in which I can retain, all the things that I've lost and gain back, so I can retain myself and have some control over the narrative of whatever career that I move forward to. So
That's deep, and the comments have lit up as you were telling your story. Nicole said, "I love this story." And she also goes to say, "As a Jamaican myself, I understand. Racism isn't a thing for us. Moving to the US was an adjustment for me and for a lot of us from the Caribbean. I grew up believing I belong everywhere." And Anna said, "I love the recapture of yourself." And yeah, Nicole goes on to say, "Believing I was a person before I was a skin color."
that's right.
Yeah, and in Jamaica, and we don't have to check any boxes of race. I had to get used to checking race boxes. So yeah, you talked about being seen as a Jamaican in Italy, which was very different from this melting pot narrative that we have in the States, right? Where it's like, "I don't really care. Where are you from? We're just gonna boil everybody down.
That's right.
We're gonna boil y'all down to brown, boil y'all down to people of color." As like, okay, so can we just they don't talk about a white person being a non-person of color,
No,
right?
no,
Even though we are the global majority. Um,
no.
so that terminology always cracks me up. But when you juxtapose, and I do want to spend some time talking about it because big thread, and I can see a lot of Caribbean representation in the comments today, is going from a country where you are in the majority, where race isn't an issue the way it is in the States. And what again, I've only been, I visited Jamaica one time, and just not just the aesthetics, right? Being, tropical and things like that, but you touched on it a little bit, like knowing where someone's village was and knowing in this belonging and familiarity that I would argue is absent in the United States, to then going to the mountains in Italy where you're in a small village and people know when you're who
Can't be
you are.
missed. Can't be
Yeah.
missed.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, I mean, coming to Italy was because my husband is from here, right?
Mhm.
But she's not from the village.
Oh,
It
okay.
took you do have to understand also that Italians are closed. It's a very ancient culture and very family oriented. So, their families kind of stay in the same place, unlike in America. Here, you have 4 generations living in the same house structure. And so there's no need really for outside. But the thing is that we came over time and we developed our friends, and they were the ones that helped us to move. And they're the kindest people, like without question or why or anything like that. We told them we wanted to move and they just jumped and chipped in and did everything to help us. And so that kind of community and that kind of selflessness is that what really drew me to this region. Like, I see refugees coming here now more regularly, and they just reach out and help. There's at least in the, we're not talking about Rome. We're not talking about a bigger city or Milan or may have other issues. I'm just talking about this country region, in which people work together as a community to help each other. And that really kind of gave me back some of that humanity that I had not seen in such a long time. So it's really not about I really didn't feel my skin color coming into play. It's like, you need help, we're going to help you. And it's not, I think sometimes in Jamaica also, you're ashamed to ask for help, and when we leave Jamaica, it's because it's for better. So therefore, when you go to America, you're supposed to achieve a certain standard because you left, right? So now you can't really look back and ask for help because you're the one that got out. So why aren't you this? Why aren't you wealthy? Why aren't you, the questions, if you never lived in America, you would not understand the whole structure, the credit card, and if you're supposed to be rich if you left. So asking for help is not something you want to ask for because they're like, why you need help? Whereas in Italy, it's like there was no questions asked. You need help, we're going to help you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if your car broke down, why don't you have money to fix? No, we're just going to help you. And I really appreciate that culture and that community. It's just humane,
And you said a few things that definitely resonated with me. Is by having this adventure, right, this new chapter, you were able to reclaim and reconnect and with this sense of humanity, which I know for myself, for many years, I felt like all was lost, right? We're circling a drain, and this may be the final flush, especially with everything going on in the pandemic. And you talked about it, like Italy, was one of the first countries outside of, what was happening in Wuhan, where we saw in the news, 10,000 dead, and they were having these, graves and all these other things. And as you got there, things had eased, like you said, there were laws in place and things like that. But you're in this small village and yet people are showing you, grace and acts of kindness that really, I guess renewed your faith in humanity, right? Where you see that people aren't always looking at you suspicious or second guessing yourself, like that mental energy that you're expending in the city, in the States, which, many of us can relate to, right? So I love that that's what you found since you've been there. And now, 3 years out, right? You have turned all of that. And, I definitely want to spend some time talking about, your son in that too, because that's also a part of your story arc. But you've gotten to this place where you've taken all of those experiences and now you have your book. So tell me about that.
Well, one of the things I wanted to do was to write, because I felt like I had a lot to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I started journaling unintentionally in 2007. So one of the pivoting point for me in America was childbirth. And, before, when you're single and you work hard, it's all very well and good. I really enjoyed my time. I loved New York. But when you're starting to have a family, that's when you really begin to see where the social nets are not in place. And I think now it's coming out more about Black women and childbirth and how precarious it is. And I didn't know, and I didn't have anyone in my family to tell me. But I was in Alabama, and it's strange to me. And I was pregnant, and I was not feeling well. And I went to the doctor, who was a white Caucasian man. And every time I would tell him I was not feeling well, he would just say, "No, it's fine, it's fine." And it was not fine. So I miscarried at 6 months.
Whoa, I'm so
in
sorry.
2007. And it was so traumatic, as anyone can tell you. And there were no resources, nothing to really. And I guess if I was a suing kind, I probably would have sued him, because later on I found out I had fibroids, and the fibroids grew and kind of pressed on the baby. But he knew that, and he didn't really do anything about it, because after I found a Nigerian doctor a little way down, and she was so good, and she explained and everything like that. So I could have sued him. And in hindsight, now we're hearing more about maternal care for Black women. And so I started journaling because I couldn't process it. It was just such an out-of-body experience. And then ever since then, I started journaling all my experiences for the next years, and things that I couldn't explain. Or again, my husband, he has a different experience. He can't, and he was actually, he never knew that America was racist. Like, for him, the concept was just like, he didn't experience it. He didn't know. It's just by association. And then it could just be me, right? So over the years, I think is it me, or is it the sis? You don't have anyone to kind of like explain. So I had to write it down and make sense out of everything. I never thought about writing then, but in the last, I think by about 2018, I decided I wanted to write a book. But I don't know what book. I started off thinking I was going to write a cookbook about my experiences here, which is going to be the next one, because it's sort of a memoir about how Italy kind of brought back my, sensibilities of being Jamaican. But this year, I decided I was just going to put together all the and it was, I guess it was poetry. I didn't think of it as poetry. I just thought of it as words. And I went through all my journal, and I realized I had something, I could create a story from 2007 to 2023, from being in Jamaica, from going back to Jamaica for a couple of trips, and realizing that I wanted to go home. I wanted to go home so badly, but I couldn't, because I changed so much. In Jamaica, I changed so much, and the opportunity wasn't there to go back. So it's like, where do you go? Where do you find home? I can't go back home. I don't want to stay in America. Where is home? So this year I put them all together, and it kind of flowed. And I realized, from the things that I'd written, how much I had to say in terms of my experience growing up in Jamaica, why I left in the first place, living in America, and now where is home? What do you consider to be home? So for me, Italy is home because it's safe, right? I feel relatively safe. I feel I can walk around, and it's feel comfortable. I feel like my son is safe. You know, he has the freedom to move around, to be an Italian teenager is wonderful here. And no policeman is stopping him or questioning him, you know, like he is free. And I just feel like here it's much more economical. And you can actually live because people here, what is it? They don't work to live, they live to work. So you can actually live. You can actually feel free to recreate your second half. You know, like what am I going to do for the next half of my life? You're free to do that because you can actually afford to live without the stress of, you know.
Yeah, because once you free the mental space, right?
Yes.
And you now are able to birth new ideas and creativity and tap into things that either lay dormant for years or just things that are emerging because you're in a new environment. You can now take those risks and
Yes.
chase those things and pursue them without, you know, the economic stress and fear.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's powerful. I just want to make one thing on my side. There's a big old storm that looks like it just came
Uh-oh.
out of nowhere. So if the live goes out, I will come back. I'm just letting y'all know that
Uh-oh.
I just turned black.
Uh-oh.
So I'm sorry to
Yes.
interrupt the flow, but I just wanted to let you know if I go, I'm gonna come back, y'all. I just let you know we just got some we may have some technical difficulties. Renee said she totally understands as a first generation American of Jamaican descent. Yes, there's a lot that's, you know, people here that are resonating with what you said. And yes, Julie, let's talk about the title of your book. And
So it's
yes, I appreciate that. Happy birthday, Miss Jamie.
it's called The Color Wheel of My Mind. So I saw a color wheel of my dreams, sorry. I saw a lot of color. The color began during winter. So in winter, I mean, it really affected me a lot. I suffer from what's it? Sad disease.
Yeah, seasonal affective disorder. I do
Yes.
too.
Yes. It was just became so gray and so dark. And that's all I would see every day. I would just see brown trees and then I took a trip when every time I'd go back to Jamaica, I would just see green. Like the green just came out at me more. And the flora, and I would travel during, you know, especially summer or what. Anyway, it's green all the time. And and then the colors just came at me.
Wow.
And I like to paint. I started painting. That's one of the paintings in the book.
Oh my gosh.
I discovered an art studio here in Tulsa, and told her, I said, I wanted to paint something because I always see color, especially when I take photos. I just love it. And I always wanted to just be able to have it down on paper. And so a lot of the poems come with color. And so it's a, and then I remember this song, you know, like the colors. Actually, I'm creating a playlist. Because I would hear the music in the background. So I'm creating a playlist. This is the pre-order now for the ebook. And ebook is out on June 28th. And then the paperback is out in July 14th on Amazon. So in the paperback, I'm going to put the playlists of, you know, kind of to match the poem. So it's a bit of essay and it's a bit of poetry.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it because, you know, you made this amazing journey. And like I said, what I'm hearing is the output of that has, you know, allowed you to manifest all of these creative endeavors, right? You talked about the cookbook that's been inspired from, you know, things that you've experienced in Jamaica, which will be coming, to now bringing this awesome book of poetry and infusing that with, you know, painting and music. And I'm curious, like the painting, was that something that you were able to indulge in when you were in the States?
No.
Ah.
Everything in America is like beyond expensive. Like everything you want to do, you have to pay a dime and a dozen. And here in this village, there's, first of all, everyone is an artist here. So it's like perfect. If you're a creative person, it is a perfect place for creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And because I don't have TV and, you know, I'm learning Italian, so some of the stuff I don't even understand anyway. So it blocks out a lot of the negative that's happening in the world. I don't hear about Trump every day. I don't hear about, you know, the things, bad things that are happening around the world every day. I choose what I want to listen to. So I'm not ignorant of what's happening, but I don't have it infused on me every day because my sensibilities cannot manage so much negativity now. And so, you know, when you talk about you're protecting your space and you're protecting your brain space, I'm able to do that. And by doing that, I'm able to be more creative. And my creative helps my, it helps myself, you know, the self-healing, it really does. So for me here, just being able to write, I started reading a lot. Writing really helps to put down all your thoughts. There is a ceramic studio that I go to in the woods. So I took up ceramics, which I really love. And then I found the painting studio in back in Tolfoy, which is a medieval village. So I was walking around, it's like tucked in somewhere. And just the cost of being, again, because Italy is a social structure. And so everyone here has a social net, which you do not have in America.
Yeah.
And so the cost of living is so much lower that you're able to participate in things that you probably wouldn't be able to do in America. So, I mean, for me, a class was like €9.
What?
3 hours.
I can't even get a drink for that.
Right. I mean, if I go to a cafe, it's like 50 cents, whatever you call it. My son loves to do horse riding.
Yeah.
And for an hour, it's like €20.
Wow.
So, I mean, like just the ability to live, you can live within, you know, I mean, it's ridiculous, right?
Yeah, because my, you know,
I
rides
know.
horses,
I
and
know.
I'm paying $70 to $100 a pop for 45
Yes.
minutes.
Yes.
And sometimes she rides twice a week.
It's just too much. And if you want to enjoy these activities of life, why shouldn't you, right? Why shouldn't you want to paint or you know, ride a horse, or why? You know, you are able to do that because I don't know, they just want you to enjoy life. And if you, and sometimes they'll tell you, don't worry about it. If you can't afford it, don't worry about it. Pay us tomorrow. Or pay us next week.
And that you know is one of those things that I believe too, that reinforces your connection to humanity, because I find that in the US there's this social hierarchy, that there are certain activities that you aren't supposed to be able to partake in because you need to be of a certain, you know, skin color, ethnic group, or level of affluence.
Exactly. Affluence. Yeah.
And then in that there's this like, I'm trying to think of the right word, but it's almost like this haughtiness and this like this I'm better than this person, and it just doesn't jive well with me and my personality, because
no one here asks,
impress me.
No one here asks you what you do.
Yes.
No one asks what your career, your job is.
Yeah.
That's not the first thing that, you know, maybe later down they may ask you, but the first thing in conversation, you know, is something like how was your day, or what you're doing. They'd rather know that you're doing art classes than your career.
Yes. What are the things that are your life pursuits, your life passions, and your purpose, and less about a thing, because, you know, jobs come and go, but who you are is ever present. And what I find in America particularly is this attachment to identity with your job being who you are. So who am I without this title or, this zip code or
Yes.
this, and it's just like, okay, well, what happens when all of those things go away? You either lose your job or you have an empty nest or you have a medical condition, right? There are things
Exactly.
that can threaten, I guess, for lack of a better word, your identity, what you've come to know to be your identity. And some people can't grapple, here comes the thunder, grapple with that identity shift. And I think for me, and I hear it in your story as well, that has been the gift, has been this ability to slow things down and to really get to know or know again, who you are before all of these
Yes.
other things happen to you.
Yes.
Um, so that's what I hear. And definitely there's love coming your way out of the comments.
Oh.
Yes, yes. And so Alexandria asked, how has the adjustment been for your son? Because if I remember correctly, Alex was 12,
11 when he
11, 11 when you left, which is a challenging age, right? When you make that leap. Like I knew I couldn't leave because Maya was too far into her high school years and earlier. And so Alex was what, middle school?
He just started middle school. So we thought, and I think in hindsight, we just made it. If you're going to take your kids, make sure they're 10 and under. Because, especially when it comes to a new language, right? Culture is one thing, adjusting, but a language is a whole different story.
Okay.
So we thought he knew Italian, but knowing Italian, he didn't know how to speak or read. We thought because, his dad talked to him in the home that he kind of understood. But when you come to the country and you get into the school system, and we didn't do enough research, honestly, our only thing was that Italy was having schools open and then America wasn't. And then Alex could not stay out of school for a year and a half. It was already, that we were already at home for like 4 or 5 months. And so he needed to get back into that social structure. So that was the only thing that we were like, yay, he can go to school. But, and we thought that we thought that they had a capability of helping him as Italian as a second language, but they didn't really have that because he was the first English speaking child. And in our village, majority of people didn't speak English. Like, you think, yeah, you're in Italy, you should know Italian. Don't assume that people speak English. And so for the first year, we didn't know anyone that spoke English. And so it was very difficult, but he made it through. But in the second year, again, it was a pandemic, and that just made it even harder. And so the second year, it was too stressful, and we decided to take him out. And he was not adjusting to the culture. We were not adjusting to the school system because I didn't know it. And my husband had been out so long that he realized he didn't know it either. The material, they have a lot of material. They do about 10 subjects, including Italian, another language, so Italian, French, and English, as well as art, Spanish, and then all the science, math. That's a lot.
Wow, that sounds way more rigorous than the States.
A lot, and then a lot of homework, and all of this is in Italian. And then the exams, they give like surprise tests and oral exams where you have to stand up in front of the class and talk about. So it became too much, and so we took him out, and we did a year of homeschool. So I homeschooled him and helped him to acclimate, and we got 2 private teachers to help him with Italian and one with math in Italian.
Oh, wow.
And so we did that, and I think I need to write about that in my newsletter.
I think so. Because I think there's a lot of people who are curious, who have, kids that are, accompanying them. or maybe around that age, and like you said, walking that fine line of when's the right time.
You need to do your research. So we did the research and we found another school in Chibitaweke, which is a much larger town.
Oh, okay.
In fact, all the kids here have to go to high school in that town because there's no high school here. So they take a bus down. Oh. And we found a really, really good school. And the teachers spoke English so that could help as well. And it was amazing. It was night and day. His Italian jumped up.
Wow.
I mean, he's fluent now. I mean, it's incredible. In 3 years, he's absolutely fluent. He made a lot of friends. The teachers were so helpful, and he came fourth in his class.
Oh my gosh! What? Go, Alex! Yay!
So he's really happy. I think I asked him now, are you happy that we made the adjustment? And the reason why is that Italian teenagers, because he's 14 now, 14 and a half.
Gosh. You shared that picture of him the other day, and I was just like, wait a minute. When he left, he was like a little something.
Maybe.
Like a full-on man.
They have a lot more freedom. Like there's no fear of walking around. They walk around town in a group, like they're always out because the social life is so important.
Yes.
So the parents let them out. It took me a while to get used to it. The parents let them out. I'm like, no. But I had to get used to it. So now he's out with his friends. And
oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, it's a really nice. I'm happy for him that he has this experience of freedom and not to think about skin color, not to think about, being in a box, just to live, basically.
Yeah. So now he gets to really embrace the full experience.
Yeah.
Culturally, linguistically, the whole bit.
Yeah.
And I think that is really rounded out. He really is the definition of a third culture kid. He's
a global kid, because if you ask him what sometimes he says, what am I? Or I said, you don't really think of yourself that way. Just embrace all the experiences. You're American when you want to. He can speak Pato when he wants to, and he's fluent in Italian. So I said, whenever you want to be, whatever you want to be, just don't put yourself in a box. Just
That's so true, because you were born in Jamaica, your son was born, your husband was born in Rome, Italy, your son was born in the US, and now you all are living in Italy. And so it's just like, look, the world is indeed your oyster.
Yes, the global. And I think that's great for kids to feel global. That you have the opportunity to go wherever you want to go, feel that you need to just stay in one place.
Yeah. I think that really we in the States, our kids are done a disservice because everything here is US centric, except this, in my mind, ridiculous obsession that we have with the British royal family. Really? It's like for a country that was founded because y'all didn't want to pay taxes to the British. We got a whole war and all this other crap. Every time I go online, it's like, Kate Middleton wore this. And
Are you serious? Oh my gosh.
Really? Like, who gives a crap? Like,
that's interesting.
Yeah, it's just
not even us are like that anymore. We're like so over royalty.
It's like so bizarre, as if there aren't other, kingdoms and monarchs and other things that exist. Like there are other countries where they have it's just a weird obsession. So not to digress, but it's refreshing that, you're able, especially when I hear of how rigorous academically the school system is in Italy, versus in the States. Because I know for my children, they did not get the rigors, in my opinion, that they needed to keep them challenged academically. Thankfully, they were able to have other experiences outside of the classroom. But, I think that also is an adjustment for many people who are considering bringing their children from the States, particularly into Europe, because the education system is completely different. And while they might be the right age for, the grade in which they're entering, academically, they may have some serious gaps
Yeah.
in knowledge because of their lack of understanding of like world history in the way it needs to be known, um, in addition to other contexts.
It's true. And I was looking, so for the 8th grade, right?
Mhm.
Not only did they get so many tests and interrogations throughout the year, but the final week, when they graduate, they have a written and they have an oral test. The written is Italian, math, and English, right? And the oral exam is drama. So I had that on my Instagram, because all of his teachers gather around and he stands in front while they interrogate him on every subject that he has learned.
Wow.
And so he had to be preparing. He had to write it out, the document. He chose, I think what he did was choose a country, and then you choose like history, geography, art, music about that country. They even had to play a piano piece, all of them, for this interrogation. And he plays the violin, but he just chose to be like everybody else to do the piano piece. But when I was looking at his thing that he wrote out, he was talking about romanticism and some deep stuff that I didn't really pay attention to. But like the fact that he was learning about I wish I had it here. I wish I could tell you, but I was really impressed because it was really made you think about things. They had to critique the art piece, and then they had to learn about the history of the art piece, and it's incredible. I mean, you're knowing this stuff at 14. You can have a conversation. You can have a deep, well thought conversation, and you can think about things. So adults don't have to just tell you anything. You can sit and read and think and come up with your own rationale, for things.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's missing in America, that the kids do not have this, what is the word? Is, when you can like think for yourself, when you can like critical thinking.
Yeah.
The kids have this here. They can think about things and discuss it. So I was really impressed by that. And I think he's the kind of kid that in the end, he enjoyed the process.
He looked happy after I saw the pictures.
I think he enjoyed the process. I mean, we helped him to learn how to study. And I think it's really important that if you switch systems, as a parent, you really have to put a lot into it. You cannot leave it up to the teachers. We really put a lot into helping him to get to the next level, because it's so different and it's so much.
And that's definitely a credit to you and your husband. And I saw in the pictures that you shared, especially the pictures like of your husband sitting there, like when Alex was doing his interrogation.
He was not supposed to be in the room, but I left and came back and he got in.
It's like the nervous but proud dad, like sitting there. I was like, oh, look at him. It was so cool. And I just, one of the things that I'm looking forward to once I get back to Europe is finally sharing space with you.
Yes.
We have had this virtual connection for 3 years, but I'm looking forward to coming to
meet up. Yes.
And spending some quality time with all of y'all. And I do join whenever you do the cooking on your Instagram, and I see, Ricardo and Alex, and, it's a family affair. And that's what I love about the new life and chapter that you are writing for yourself.
Yeah. And I feel that it's not easy. You have to get out of that headspace that it's not possible. You just have to have a lot of faith and a lot of help, reaching out to the right people to assist, because we didn't do it alone. And the first year and a half was an adjustment. I mean, somebody was asking me the other day, like, the problems with Alex and getting used to the school, and for my husband getting used to the job, because it was an adjustment for him as well. I said, well, where was I going to go to? I can't go back. We have to make it work.
Right?
So, where am I going? So
we are committed.
You have to be committed.
The dog, I was like, what is that? The dog is trying to get in here. Sorry. Oh my goodness. Oh, so Trey, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. Happy fine 49 birthday. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I love what I do. I love what I do. And thank you for the super chat and for acknowledging the work. It's a love fest. I love that I've created Blaxit Global and that it's helping so many people and connecting me with
Yes.
so many amazing people. Like
especially during the pandemic, that was just awesome. The connections during the pandemic really was something.
Yeah, and just being able to, have this connection or, I mean, because we talk. It's like, connecting people. It's like, oh, I know that you do this. And that's how you build community. And you can build community irrespective of what country that you are planning to go to. And I think that's one of the blessings that has come out of this through creating Passport. There's people that are going to Portugal, people that are going to Vietnam, people that are going to Costa Rica, people that are interested in Italy. But having people in that community enables you to have a soft landing. Community was important in your story as you started to settle in Italy and also to some degree in the US, because while we never met and we both lived in Jersey, both part of the same organization, we had never met before, but formed a community in the midst of a global pandemic, right? And so I think that's one of the things that, is wonderful about being able to put yourself out there and lean into those creative pursuits like you are doing now with your book. And, I definitely want to plug your book again. Definitely I'm going to put it up here again. And I know it's in the comments to pre-order your copy of Julie's book, because it's one thing to move. And as you start to tap into that creativity and give birth to different ideas, you also need the supportive community, right? Yes. We see where we've had microaggressions, been shut out of things and opportunities. And now when you are putting yourself out there, it is important that we support and that we show up to signal that we see you, we hear you, we believe in you, what you're saying resonates, and we want you to succeed, right? And so, definitely take advantage, show Julie some love, and that will go far to help her also to get to that next book. Because, like I said, if you follow her on Instagram, and I put up your link tree, she does cooking classes on there. You did this pasta carbonara a couple of months ago.
Yes, we have an amazing chef here. I mean, well, listen, everyone here cooks well, so you can't go wrong. But Antonio, my friend, he's such a darling. So we were doing some cooking demos together. So hopefully in the future we'll do some more. But the book kind of took over.
No, and I'm very grateful for the demos. I look forward to coming. And it was so funny. I was talking to Nicole, who's in the comments, and we were, co-creating and thinking about what we want to do once we're in Portugal. And what's been coming up for me is truffle hunting.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Yep.
Woohoo! So like I said, I'll be coming over, and I see Pernell's in the comments, another guest on the Blaxit Global podcast, Pernell Bobby. Hey, Pernell. He's going to move to Italy. He's curious, as is Isan One, is where you are in Italy.
I am an hour north from Rome, and I'm in the countryside. It's called Monte della Tolfa. So I would have to say I'm going back into time.
Wow.
It's not a tourist town at all, but it's relatively close to Civitavecchia, which is the port town.
Wow. Okay. So very countryside.
Yeah, but we have access to Rome because by train you can get to Rome in an hour. Civitavecchia is where all the the cruise ships and it's 2 hours north, 2 hours south of Tuscany. So it's kind of like central to, but it's not a tourist town at all. It's not like like Tuscany, Florence, Rome. It's like real Italian. Like again, I mean, now I've met English speakers, but when I arrived, I didn't know any English speakers, so I was forced to learn Italian.
Which was where I was going next. So as you're looking at, this life that you chose for yourself, and then, like you said, you needed to learn, how has that come along?
Really well, but I'm still not fluent, and I've come to terms with the fact that I probably won't be, because unlike Alex, who was immersed 6 hours, 8 hours a day, in fact, he used to come home and tell me that his brain is going to burst. He'd say, "Mom, my head's gonna burst."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I used to have to give him, like, this year in particular, like I said, the school is really good. Every Friday he had to take off because it's so intense. For me, just having a conversation or sitting and listening for after an hour, 2 hours, my brain just like, okay, I'm thinking of other things. So it's like, so a one-on-one, if I'm able to control the situation, I'm able to get around, I'm pretty good. But in a group, it becomes a real challenge to focus. And I think it's going to take me, because at home I work in English, so I'm immersed. I could live within my realm without knowing Italian.
Wow, even in a small village.
Well, because I know the basics. I know how to ask for food. I know direction, so you can get away with that. But if you really want to have a conversation, you really need to study and really practice speaking a lot more. So I think I'm on that next stage where now I have to really make the effort to be more fluent, and so get out of my house once in a while, and I have to like warm up the brain before speaking English all day, and then I warm up the brain and then go speak to someone in Italian just to practice.
Wow.
Because we don't really speak Italian at home. I mean, like, well, that's not true. It's a weird situation. My husband and son have their own communication. They will start in Italian and finish in English, and back and forth it goes. So it's like, it's not one or the other.
Really?
No.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So is it that your husband and Alex are talking in Italian, or you talk in Italian?
No, they do that within themselves.
Oh, okay.
So they switch back and forth.
Wow.
So for me, it's like, okay, this is not happening. I will never learn Italian from you too.
So do you think you'll get to a point where you'll get a tutor, or?
No, well, I did. I mean, like, on and off. So what I did when I arrived, I did 6 months of studying with a tutor, and that really, so in a trajectory of learning, it's not like this. It's like stop, then start, and stop, then start. So I've been to that point now where I think I need to get a tutor again, or just need to spend the time studying and reading, like reading books or watching TV. So I have to make the effort. But I did have a tutor the first 6 months, and that really helped a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. So as you start to think about, like, now we're in summer, right? Because Alex has finished his interrogation. How does it work in Italy? Do they finish and he is considered in high school now, or?
Yes. So he's going to high school in September.
Wow. And then the same town, because you said that town is like the only one that has like the high school.
The high schools, yeah.
Okay. And then is high school 4 years?
5.
5. Okay.
Yeah. And then you can go here. You don't have to go to university. I mean, their basic education is so good. You don't have to go to university. They also have technical schools. So yeah, you can go to a technical school, or you can go to, like, if you want to be a pilot, or if you want to like learn, like certain schools that are specific, you would go to that school if you want to learn to be a plumber or architect or whatever. So you don't have to go to a university. So the kids have options, and then it's way more affordable. I can't even tell you how much more affordable it is here.
Wow. Yeah, because I know Nicole has her son one of her sons going to university in Portugal, and considerably more affordable than the States. I'm
You don't
probably
come out in debt, in other words.
Yeah, I'm weeks away from my first installment for Missy here, and I had to wrap my brain around that. It's very different than when I went to college, and
Yeah,
that was one of the things that I had very strong feelings about, was not saddling my children with
right.
school debt. And interestingly enough, I was talking to my mom the other day. Maya graduated Thursday, and in the past 4 weeks, every other day in the mail is something about, "Hey, get this loan. Hey, get this," addressed to her.
Oh my God.
And I know what it is, like, so, "Oh, Sally Mae," and this, and it's
Yeah,
like now it's twice a week, and I get the emails, "Oh, your child is going here. Here's this debt. Here's this credit card," and I'm like, can we it's like they're indoctrinating the next generation of
yes,
saddle you with
yeah,
debt and servitude, right? It's another
yes.
form of economic slavery to keep you tied to a system while they're slowly killing you mentally and physically.
Plantation.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's just like when I see it now and having this perspective now that I'm exiting, you just look at things with a new pair of eyes.
Right. Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
see like this isn't normal, and if it's normal, it shouldn't be.
It's not right. It's not right because now they're starting off at 19, 20 with this constant thing of a credit card or a debt when they should just be focusing on starting their lives. You
Yeah.
know, just enjoying the school. Like I said, the kids here, the education is free. I mean, some people, some expats or immigrants that come here put their kids in private school, and it's because it's difficult for them to navigate the public school and the language, right?
Mhm.
But I feel that if you are able to get your child to learn a language, that's why I say come before they're 11. The public school is amazing. The material is incredible and it's free. You only
Mhm.
pay for your books, and then you don't have to go to university. But if you do go to university, it's like it's based on your income. It's like something like 2,000 euros a year, or you go to a technical school,
Yeah.
and you're not ashamed. In fact, I met one of the neighbors, and her daughter is going to do hairdressing, and it's not a terrible thing. It's like that's what they want to do. They can come out and be a hairdresser, but they have something they enjoy doing. It's not a terrible thing.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
don't have to go to university just because to get a job or
Yeah.
to exist.
Yeah.
And then you have all this debt. So yeah, more technical schools, more ability to have other careers rather than going to university is really amazing.
Yeah, the opportunities to go and pursue something because you genuinely are interested in it versus,
Right.
I've got this six-figure monkey on my back that I need to now get some job that pays enough for me to pay it back and
Live,
have a cost of living, ability to live.
live, exactly.
That's why you see a lot of unhappy people, right? Like, what was it that show, Desperate Housewives, leading lives of quiet desperation, because it's like, you would never, well, she's 17, she's not 18 yet, but, you would never give $100,000. She couldn't go to the bank and say, "Oh, I want $100,000 to buy, a car or, a house somewhere." But you'll saddle kids with six-figure student debt and dangle the
Yes.
carrot that, "Oh, this is good because this is good debt for, your future career." And then you get out and then the jobs, where are they, right?
Yeah, right.
Um,
Exactly.
it's the opportunities that I had graduating in with my bachelor's was in 1996, and I graduated with my master's in 2000. And the opportunities that were there for me then, I had a job before I even graduated,
Right.
right?
Right.
That's not,
It's not
for
there
many people.
anymore.
And like my daughter loves horses and animal science, and that's what she's pursuing. And my son, who does the music for the Blaxit Global podcast, and he was live on Instagram before we went live, so I was in the comments with him for a little bit. But he loves music and he's studying music, and I didn't say, "Oh, you should be an engineer. You should be this."
Right.
Like, I done did my walk. Right? Their dad did his walk. Like, this is not. I'm not here to dictate, And I think that just comes from this kind of mental evolution, and again, for me, departure from attachment to status, like you said,
Yeah.
hairdresser. I don't care what profession it is. We all need something. Like, why would
Yeah.
you look down on somebody? If you have to put your garbage out, you want to have somebody come and pick it up.
Garbage people here. Even my son commented on that when you're right. So at 11, you still notice these things.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a good job.
Exactly.
It's a good job. Like, they have their uniform. I mean, like, it's there. Like I said, once the basic education is so good, that's what a social system does. It really equalizes everyone, because everyone had the same education. And so if it's so good at that level, no matter what you do after that, you can have a conversation with a garbage man. He doesn't even look like a so-called garbage man. Or even the women, they do it sometimes, so they come and pick up the garbage. They don't look like it. So I mean, that, I think that's, to me, is just lovely, having that system in which everyone starts off the same. I mean, you're always gonna find this class system. You do find it in Italy. Big with bigger cities, like maybe in Rome or Milan. You are going to find the class system, but you are also going to find like people who are not like that. More so, and that's what I gravitate towards. That's what I really enjoy.
Same. It's like, let's pack the status and all that other superficial nonsense away, because it is lost on me. It is lost on me. So Isan asks, you have a husband and a son who speak Italian. Can't you have Italian only days so you can get your immersion? Every Tuesday in your home, you could have it so that it's only Italian spoken. Interesting.
We're too lazy for that. I get my immersion with my Italian friends. Like, I'll go have coffee with them. And like, when I go to my classes, like my ceramic classes or painting classes, there's no one that speaks English. So wow. I'm forced. Yeah. Like, when I come out of my bubble, I'm forced to speak it. So I do make the efforts, like you made the effort to go to these different events. I went to a book event the other day. I got the book, and I'm like, okay, I can't understand it. But you once you immerse yourself into the situations, that's how you learn new words. Like when I was I went to a ceramic retreat for 3 days. No one spoke English. So I sat down, and every time we were having a conversation, I would sit and write notes or make notes of new words. And Italian people are so wonderful with the language. I've heard other countries, maybe France, I don't know, but they're very patient, very, very patient. So the thing is not to be afraid to speak or make mistakes. I mean, they correct me sometimes, they don't, but that's how I immerse myself into the language. I don't stress my family, because whatever comes naturally is what comes naturally in the household. So because at first, when we arrived, the teachers in the countryside used to get upset at me. They were like, don't speak English at home, do not speak. And I'm like, why? Because English, my son has to continue speaking English. He has to communicate in English outside of Italy, because Italy is Italian is maybe the 4th spoken language. English is like what, the number 1. So he still has to know English, and he can forget. So we still have to keep talking, and my husband doesn't want to forget. So we still have to keep up the English at home. So I don't stress them about speaking Italian to me. I just leave the house and go talk to my friends.
But it's good that you like you have a bubble. You have your bubble when you need to.
Yeah.
And then when you go outside, you have activities that force you into those situations. Because like you said, if you're doing ceramics, Well, you have to have the ear to understand the instructions from the instructor, and what they're saying, and so you'll pick up things. And then I think as time goes on, and also as Alex progresses in high school and things like that, I think it's going to happen where you'll
It
socialize
happens.
more.
Yeah, it happens. I find myself thinking in it more and more each day. So I
Mm,
don't stress about it anymore. It's how much time you put into it.
yeah.
So if I didn't have anything else to do and I really just focused on it, I would be much further along. But because I want to do everything, I
Trying
feel
to
the
make up for lost time. We're
same
like,
everything. I'm like, now I need to make up for all the things that I wasn't able to do before. So
wow.
it's
Oh
like
my
I
God.
know it will come. Every now and again, I will, like, for a month, I will sit and study every morning and then go out and practice speaking. So, it's just how much time you put into it, but it can happen.
Mm-hmm. And Blind Truth said Italy was on and off my list. I am happy to see you and your family are flourishing there. It gives me hope. Awesome, awesome. And I'm jumping down. Socialization is the best immersion. I had a similar situation with my husband and children. We created Inglanio. Inglenio. Right? Like this is like a little mosh of languages together. That's cool. Oh my goodness. So, Julie, as we start to wrap,
Yes, yes. How is your Portuguese?
uh, fine, fine, fine.
You will get along. As
Yeah.
long as you feel that way, you will get along.
Eu falar um pouco português, falar inglês, uh, and it's coming. It's
I think you need
harder
to be
now.
there. You
It's
need to
harder.
be there
Yes.
for it to, because also it's for me the hardest was the pronunciation, because the Jamaican tongue, so for me it was really hard to get some words, but
Mm,
by hearing it every day now, it's coming more and more. So I could study as much grammar as I want, but if I'm not pronouncing the word properly, they won't understand. So I really had to practice saying the word, the
mm.
pronunciation. That would have not happened in America. I
Ah,
have to be here every day to hear it, be immersed in it, to be able to think it, feel it.
mhm. Yes, and I've been taking Portuguese with Carla for a little over a year now, and uh, harder for me to stay consistent in these last few weeks as I get the move part out of the way, and then I'll have a good chunk of time before we depart. But when I was in Portugal doing my apartment, it came. So, certain, like I was able to
Yeah.
do furniture shopping and say, what I was looking for, or the fact that I have a dog, which in Portuguese, dog is actually cow. It's pronounced cow. So I'm like, oh, the dog goes from a dog to a cow. So I was able to tell her like, oh, I have a cow, and and what is the right furniture for someone like me, and then I get stuck, right,
Yeah.
and so, but it's like I don't fear sounding
Stupid or
stupid,
no.
or I'm the first to say I am illiterate. Like I
And
am
thank
out of
God
my
for the
comfort zone.
translator. I walked with the translator everywhere, and I like, can you read this?
Yeah, yeah.
This is what I want.
Yeah, I do that, and then I realized, especially this last trip, when I would go to other countries where English wasn't spoken, and the drivers also, like, I would take Ubers or whatever, they would want to practice their English with me
Oh
because
yes.
that would help them, right? Like get
Yeah.
better tips because their English
Yeah.
was better. And so I took that on and flipped it on my head. And I said, oh, when I'm in Portugal in that interface, I'm like, I want to practice my Portuguese during this, like, whatever, 15, whatever time I got in this car, we're going
Yeah.
to be talking because odds are I'm never going to see you again. Right. So it lessens like this anxiety that can happen.
Yeah.
Um, And so that's one of the new ways that I found to challenge myself. But, like you're saying, just having the time to dedicate, and I'm looking forward to where I can get back into practicing the way I was. I was spending like about 2, 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
Now I
Yeah.
do like 20 minutes just to keep the
Going.
vocabulary that I do have from
Yeah.
going back. But you're right. If you're not using it and if you're not getting the pronunciation correct, um, it takes a while. It kind of sets you back. And Tanisha asked, you don't have winter in Italy where you live. Boycott
Yes.
winter. Yes.
We have winter, but it's way less than New Jersey. Oh my God, New Jersey was horrible. No, we have winter. It lasts about maybe 3 months. I would have to say November to April.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's not, and then it just, we are in the hills, so it does get cold up here. But if I go down to Civitavecchia, it's like 10 degrees warmer near the ocean. So
Oh.
in March, I'm like searching for the sun. So you can find Italian sun. I go looking for it.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's awesome.
So no,
And
it's not like New Jersey.
do you need a car to move around, or is public transportation available to visit different places in Italy?
For me, I don't have a car yet. I have to get an Italian driver's license because you can exist for 1 year on an international, but after you move, you need to have, and the test is in Italian. So I didn't want to stress myself out about doing that yet. I just needed to get everything out of the way. So for us, public transportation, I can get to Rome by train, Florence by train. It's really easy, but sometimes the bus is not like on time. And then on those days, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to read a book. Or this when I write. So it's not 100% efficient, the bus system, but the trains are.
Oh, wow.
The trains are very efficient. So hopefully I will get a car. I'm thinking next year because I'm ready. I'm ready to just, have the ability to just get up and go. But in the meantime, on those days when you get frustrated, because sometimes Italy can be like that, you go get a Prosecco.
Ooh.
Or some days you're just like, gelato makes everything better. There's a reason why there's so many bars. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm looking forward to coming because look, I see my truffle hunting partners in the comments talking about truffle hunting. I got big plans for myself and for Blaxit Global once I get back over to.
I'm excited. I'm excited to come meet up. I'm really excited about that.
Me too. Me too. And I know I'm looking at the time that it's the dinner hour for you.
Yeah, 8:30.
And so I don't want to keep you long. So I want to thank you.
No, this was awesome connecting with you. I can't believe it was June 3 years ago. That is crazy.
3 years ago. Crazy. It's so crazy.
Wow, so much. That's why it's like, it's so hard. That's why I have to write things down, because when I look back, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
All of that.
And I came up with this, like, okay, I'm going to create this. And, I remember when we had the Facebook group in the beginning, and I was just posting to myself. There was nobody in the group. And then it got to like almost 10,000 people, and, the podcast and all this other stuff, right? The television stuff actually came up in my memories today. Today was 2 years since my interview on PBS. And it's been a wild ride. And all that is a testament to putting yourself out there, allowing yourself to lean into the art of the possible. What is possible?
Right.
To live life without limits and pursuing your wildest dreams. And I think with you, I know you are the embodiment of that. And I'm so glad to have this catch up. And again, I'm looking forward to when I'm back in Europe, finally make my way to or you come visit me in Portugal.
One or the other. We'll do both.
Because with that residency visa, woo-hoo-hoo, baby. When I did my renewal, I got the big passport. I was like, oh no, we're gonna have some stamps up in here. So we can be together and we can hug it out. And I'm
For
so
sure.
excited.
For sure. It was
I'm so
definitely
excited.
a good move.
Yeah, yeah. So I definitely want to tell people. Oh, there's one last question from Tanisha. Do you get mail and packages easily?
Yes.
Oh,
When the
good.
first time the Amazon truck came up here, we were like, what? And you know the hair products that we
Yes.
can get, no problems.
Wow. You have saved
Amazon,
some
the
souls.
Amazon truck. We're like, thank God for Amazon.
That is awesome. You have saved some
No,
souls today.
no problems with the only thing is the post. I haven't really used the post after I've only been to the post office twice. It does, things don't get to you very often, but in terms of like, Amazon making orders, deliveries with other companies, it's very possible.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's good to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to close this out with one again. Thank you for your time. Two,
No,
reminding
thank
folks
you.
to pre-order Julie's book, right? Help
And look
and
out for the paperback. The paperback is coming out July 14th. If you like the ebook, you don't have a Kindle, you can download any app on your phone and you can read it there. But it's a special promotion because it's only 99 cents. And what I'd really, really like is a review, a good review, a good review if you want to, if you like it enough to write a review, because it helps the Amazon algorithm, like to be seen. So the ebook is out now for the until the 28th for 99 cents. So if you leave a review and then if you like it, you can purchase the paperback when it comes out.
yes, so for less than $1, you can support Juli-Anne and you can help her even more by leaving a review. So take this time, right? And definitely follow the link. I have it in the description of this video, as well as I dropped it in the comments. Support her. Like this video because it helps the YouTube algorithm know that you like this
Right.
content. Subscribe to the Blaxit Global YouTube channel. Become a channel member. Like we have 2 channel members that joined today. Your Instagram. Yes, I just saw that comment. Let me pop it back in here. And Julie has a link tree and it has all the places where you can find her. She is a Jamaican in Italy on Instagram. So you can find her there and keep up with her because like I said, sometimes she does cooking. Join her newsletter. She has an amazing newsletter that goes out and she shares about her life in Italy. And yeah, I mean, this has been fantastic.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
And
it's
I can't wait. I can't wait for you to come. I'm so excited.
me too. I can't believe it's finally my year after interviewing 50 plus people. It's like it's my turn
It's
too.
your turn. It's your turn. We'll interview you.
Right? I know, I know. I'm already loosely planning season 6 of the show because I'm like, only so much
Then
can
you're
go
gonna be
on right
like
now.
me. You're gonna be like me because now it's like we never felt this creative in America. But let me tell you, every day there's so much. There's so much. Like I have to like slow it down because you feel the need to do everything and
Yeah,
taking everything, and it's just crazy. So
yeah, yeah. I'm leaning into this next chapter with renewed energy, going to be gentle with myself. Looking forward to celebrating my birthday in 2 days, 5:49. And thank you again to Trey for the super chat. I appreciate it. And like I said, it's just it's a good time, and I
yes,
definitely think
yes. Lean into it. Auguri. It's buon compleanno.
oh, look, I learned some Italian today. Awesome. So y'all, I see y'all already acknowledged that you're going to go in there and you're going to support Julie. So I love it.
Thank you so
Yes,
much. I
thank
appreciate it.
you.
First
And
time
I'll see.
also is always always nerves. So
Oh yeah, no, we got you. And like I said, I'm looking forward to supporting you, wishing you and the family well. And yeah, we'll talk soon, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining, y'all.
Ciao. Ciao,
Ciao.
ciao.